Hi, my name's Lila and I'm going to demonstrate for you today the Philips ReAura Laser Rejuvenation Treatment System, which I have got in this lovely little package. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to show you today how I use it. So inside here we have the ReAura, and in the little pouch we have the charger that comes with it, and we have the cap tip that goes on the end, which you need for safety to be able to use it. So there's the charger. We also have a cleaning cloth. We have a small brush for cleaning, and we have the tip which we need to put on the end of the ReAura before we can use it. Okay, now take the ReAura out and I'll show you that. And that is the Philips ReAura. Now I'll show you before I put it on that if you attempt to use it without the tip, you can press the on button there, and the on button will only show orange, which means that the ReAura won't work. In order for it to work, the tip needs to be clipped onto it. See, as you can see, it's turned itself off again. So if we place the top on, like so, we press it on, you can see that the button is now showing green, which means that it is enabled and ready to use. So I'll just pop it off again, because I need to put on my laser performance gel, which comes with the ReAura when you buy it. So in the box we have a tube of laser performance gel. Now with this you need to put on your face. Your face, when using the ReAura, is divided into 3 sections. This section across here, section 1. This section across here, section 2. This section across here, section 3. For each section you need to use a pea-sized amount of the ReAura Performance Gel, which, I don't know if you can see that, we'll pop one lump there, one lump there, one lump there. Now, what I've omitted to tell you is that I have no makeup on whatsoever, although you can probably see that because I look awful. And you're to use a very mild cleanser on the skin before you start, which I have already done. So I'm completely barefaced and now I'm very shiny. But this is all a conductive gel to help the laser move across the skin. You can see I'm not putting it directly under my eyes because I cannot use the ReAura in this part of the eye. It is only to be used up to the cheekbone here. So there's no need to put the gel in that part of the eye or on the lips, because you cannot use the ReAura on the lips themselves. Okay, so now I'm ready to switch on my ReAura and start my treatment. I will start with my right cheek because that's how I do it, and I'll work the ReAura across one section of my face. So we have the ReAura. The ReAura has its tip on, so that means I can switch it on. When I switch it on, the on and off button goes green, and the small light here to put it on to whichever setting I want lights up white. I now press it and I press it up to 1, which is practice mode only. I don't know if you heard, but it made a ting noise as I did that. I'll press it on to 2, and that's the level that I'm currently using, as this is my 4th treatment with ReAura. ReAura needs to be used twice a week on one section, one area, so either your face, your neck, your chest décolletage, your hands or your arms. So one thing at a time. I'm on my face and this is the 4th treatment. Okay, so now I'm now ready to go. I will have to look in the mirror because I can't see myself do this properly. Hopefully you will be able to see me do it properly. When you pop the ReAura onto the skin, as you can see, I hope, the light tip goes red. When you start to move the ReAura down your face, there are 2 green lights on either side of the ReAura that will light up, and you'll hear a noise like a dinging bell, which means that you're using ReAura properly. Can you see that? Now, using light sweeps, I move the ReAura down my face all the time, hearing the little dingy noise, seeing the lights go on, moving all the way down, not covering the same section that I've just covered, moving slightly away. And once I've moved downward sweeps, I'm now going to move across the face. So we're moving and using it really in a checkerboard fashion on the face. Now, what I can feel on my skin is a slightly hot, 2 prongs of slightly hot, slightly needly feeling, really, that it's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's not horrendous. It's not so bad that I can't stand it at all. So again, we continue to use the ReAura horizontally or vertically across the face all the time, making sure that the contact lights are on and that the ReAura is making the correct noise, so I know the laser is now working on my skin. As you can see, I'm not wincing in pain. It's not horrendous. And as you continue with these treatments, it actually becomes a lot easier on the skin. It's a lot more bearable. Bearing in mind this is only my 4th one, I actually believe that I am ready to move up now to level 3, which is the most effective level. As I say, level 1 is for practice and should be used on the first time that you use the ReAura, just so that you can feel what you're doing, know what you're doing. But you then move on to level 2, because no, level 1's not actually doing anything to you, if that makes sense. So we continue with this side of the face, this section of the face, until we hear the section completed noise. So the ReAura will actually tell you when you've completed one section of the face, and when it's time to move on to the next section. It turns itself off for, there we go, that was it, that side of the face. Now I don't know if you can see, that side of my face is quite red now. that side of my face is not red, obviously, because I've not used it on that side. So that's red, and it's slightly hot. So now we move on to the next side of my face. Okay, when you're using the ReAura, you need to make sure that you move the ReAura onto different parts of the skin with every stroke, and you're not to concentrate purely on one area because that area's got more wrinkles, or you know, you feel it's more discoloured or anything like that. You know, you're not supposed to concentrate it on those areas. I believe it, you know, it might hurt if you did that, and also it's actually programmed to give this particular section of your face the correct dosage of Fraxel treatment. Again, you can see that I'm looking rather pink now. Now I do find it tricky around my nose. Still, but I do think that probably takes a bit more practice with this in order to get it correct. The ReAura is also made so that it cannot shine in your eyes, even though you're taking it straight up to the bone, not onto the area just below your eye. It doesn't shine into your eyes. It's safe to use up to that point. Obviously the skin directly under your eye is very thin and very delicate. And there we go, that's the third section, which is now pink. Don't know if you can see it with the lilac wall behind me. Maybe I'll just look like I'm blending in somehow. And for the final section is the forehead. Now I have found the forehead a little bit more tricky because obviously the skin is thin, it's very bony over there, and it's a little bit more difficult to maintain contact with the laser onto this skin. With perseverance and practice, it's fine. And obviously, you know, the ReAura still carries on, so if you're not actually making contact and the light isn't on, that's not using up the time of the treatment. It just takes me a little bit longer to do my forehead. That last treatment on this cheek took 6 minutes, so altogether that's not bad, is it? Okay, so I'm ready to do that. As I say, it's a little bit more difficult. Now I want these two awful lines in the middle between my eyebrows to get lasered. Now I'm coming down to the top of my cheekbone, because that's where I went up to when I did my cheek, and moving it across my head. And that's actually not going too bad today. So that's one side of there done. Take it back to the middle. Now, yeah, this is the thing I have going this way. Now with the ReAura, what you can do, you don't necessarily have to pull it, you can move your head instead, if that makes it easier to maintain contact with the skin. So I'm moving my head and neck rather than actually moving the ReAura. So we go crossways, and now we'll go down. Again, employing the same technique as I used on the rest of my face. Now what I'm hoping is, by making this video, I apologise if it's not a very good quality video, but I'm hoping that it will show you that to use the ReAura is not agony, it's not terrible, and it's not burny or anything like that. Because as you can see, I'm not flinching away or in pain or anything. I just feel like my cheeks are a little bit warm and I look a bit like a lobster. Okay, warm. Also, as you can see, I turn the ReAura different ways in my hair. I hold it either upside down or the right way up, depending on how easy it is for me to control it across the skin. It's not heavy, and it's easy to handle. So I'll turn it now this way to go across my face, across my eyebrows, into my crow's feet. And we say zap them, please. Turn it. Okay, so that's it. That is the Philips ReAura fractal treatment finished. Now my face is very red and it feels stingy. It's not sore to touch, just feels a bit like sunburn really, I suppose. What I've got to do now is go and wash off the gel, laser performance gel, with some cold water is what I use. I splash my face with cold water. It feels really nice to do that, and I then have a fine spray mist that's in a aerosol can and that's just water, and I spray that onto my face just to cool it down really. What I've found the last treatment, so the third treatment I did, is that the heat and the redness lasted for approximately an hour, which really, you know, that was fine. That's absolutely fine. I know that the ReAura is working. That is what it's supposed to do. And I have noticed some slight changes in my skin since I've started using the ReAura, which is wonderful. As I've only used it 4 times, I have noticed that the pores across here have become much smaller. Actually, they were very enlarged and they're actually tighter and smaller, which is great. My skin, I don't look as freckly and as patchy as I did, which is, again, is great. I mean, it means that I'm not using as much makeup to cover it up. I wish I was wearing makeup at the moment and wasn't appearing completely barefaced on YouTube, but needs must. And I think really, as I say, just to show you that using fractal laser treatment at home with a Philips ReAura doesn't hurt, so that you would think, oh no, I couldn't use that. I can, and I've never had any treatment on my face. We can tell that by the amount of wrinkles I've got. So anyway, after I have rinsed my face, patted it dry, give myself a quick spritz with the aerosol water that you don't have to use, but I like it. I then apply quite a big dollop of the ReAura Laser Aftercare Complex, which is made with all sorts of lovely ingredients, like arnica, St John's wort extract, those sorts of things. That also comes with the ReAura when you buy it, and appears in this lovely, quite classy pot. Actually, I quite like that pump thing. And put a big dollop of that on, because your skin does feel dry, sort of papery dry, not flaky dry. Not actually experienced this sort of dryness myself before, so it's difficult to explain it. It doesn't feel dry to the touch. It feels soft but slightly papery, like tissue papery. Anyway, you do need to use a good dollop of the aftercare complex. Your skin will suck it in, I think, because mine does. Within about an hour I reapply it, so before I go to bed I will apply another big dollop. I haven't gotten greasy because of that. I actually do suffer with a very greasy T-zone since using the ReAura and using heavy dollops of this daily. My T-zone hasn't been greasy at all, which is marvellous, because I've always had a greasy T-zone area, always, and open pores, which I don't now have. So for those reasons alone, I am going to continue using the ReAura. I like it. It's an easy product to use, and really easy actually, and I can be a wimp when it comes to these sorts of things. Otherwise I would have had plastic surgery by now if I wasn't such a wimp. But yeah, don't be frightened of it or worried about it, or try not to be, because it didn't hurt. You would have seen it in my face if it had hurt. So if there is anything I can answer for you, or any help I can give you at all, I'm Lila B. I have a blog, GlamPlus40 at blogspot.com. and I am tracking my progress on there, on my blog, and you can also find me on Twitter, where you'll also get regular feeds about the ReAura progress, and we will see if any of these wrinkles, fine lines and patchiness disappear, diminish. I have now got to go and rinse my face with cold water. Thank you for your time.